Hello. Hello and welcome. And welcome to Sara, and it's Dalrymple.
You got it.
Is that the right way? I kept putting the L in the wrong place. Sara Dalrymple, who
That's challenge passed.
yes, who's joined us for episode 3 of the podcast. And Sara, I've got her on because she's absolutely smashing it at the minute and is just doing amazing stuff with the world of sales without making us all be a little bit sick in our mouth. So we've got. I'm going to read a brief introduction from Sara's for Sara, and then we'll dive in. So, sales made simple. Some would even say the sales trainer and mentor for online business owners, showing us how to promote our products and services without being salesy, so that you book more clients and grow your business while keeping your integrity intact. And Sara says, I'm absolutely focused on helping more women make more money every day. With sales experience spanning both corporate and in the small business community, I share everything I know so you can grow a flourishing business without selling your soul. And this I love as well. I was having some discussions about this last week, about the traditional working model of being at your desk for 8+ hours a day. It's unrealistic, outdated, and squeezes many women beyond measure. And when women are squeezed, we put ourselves last. I've climbed the corporate ladder and I've myself. I'm not sure about that one. I thought I knew how to say it.
Quite open.
Anyway, myself fully in toxic productivity, and all it led me to was disconnect, resentment, and burnout. I know that bit. And finally, 8 years ago, I left a system that wasn't just made for me and decided I would make money in a way that worked for me and my family. Working 8 hours a day isn't only unrealistic, it's outdated and wholly unnecessary to be fabulously successful. And I always love how your newsletters end as well. Who's excited? I'm excited. And I'm excited to have you here, Sara.
I'm excited.
So we've worked together. I was a client of Sara. Is it last year, maybe even the year before?
Even the year before, mate, to be honest. The time's just flying. I'm pretty sure it was the year before.
The year before, and she's absolutely excellent and fully vibey, and I love what you've been doing on your socials. I love the stories that you've been sharing. I've seen that you're also very much into about the niching down, so I think that's super interesting to get in here. And even just reading through your website, it's different direction, but a similar thing of inventing a new way of doing something to fit for you, and then helping others do that as well, which I just love. So we'll start with the question number 1, and then we'll let you do some talking about how you got started on your own path.
Yes. Probably reasonably common tale of I had my first child in 2013, 10 years ago actually. Oh my god, he just turned 10 2 days ago.
I saw that on your newsletter.
A decade ago now. I need to update that whole 8-year thing on my website that you just read out because it's actually 10 years now. Yeah, I was working really hard. I don't know why I put 8 hours on there either, because I was working way more than 8 hours a day back then in investment banking, and I had spent my whole 20s doing that, and it was all right until it wasn't. So the minute I had my first child, I kind of knew, I knew this before actually, because my whole team was men pretty much, and the hours they worked and the culture that we worked in, it just wasn't flexible at all. It wasn't flexible, and it wasn't looking like it was going to be flexible, and it didn't pair up with the kind of parent that I wanted to be. I didn't want to just have a nanny looking after my child, like getting my child up in the morning, putting my child to bed, and like rushing home to see him for like the last half an hour of a day. So it was, yeah, it was kind of, it was, I just couldn't, I literally couldn't see how I was going to stay there and be a parent, because I would have been a completely invisible parent. So it all started when I had my son, but in all honesty, there was also a big part of me that had also massively had enough of that life anyway. So it was a kind of happy pairing of need and requirement, even though 10 years ago flexible working just wasn't a thing, is the short answer. I'm not very good at short answers, mine, so that might be that might be the only one you get.
No, good. Well, I want to hear you. I want to hear you talking about it anyway. And so, so for a lot of people, because as you say, it is a very common tale and story. What were the first things you did to make that happen then? So there's the reason, but then what was the scariest step that you had to do?
I mean, it was all scary. It was all terrifying, because I really remember, even before I went on maternity leave, Googling. I mean, social media wasn't really a thing then. I think there was probably Facebook, but I don't think, I wasn't on Instagram. Anyway, Instagram was all about like filters and sharing like photos. It wasn't really a place to look for business advice. Anyway, I just really remember Googling. All I knew in my heart was, I've been working in sales for 10 years. I really like working in sales. The thing that I'm selling here isn't particularly of interest to me. Like, financial products that I was selling were like, that's not, it's fine, but it wasn't. I remember just thinking, imagine if I was selling something that I really loved, like something that I actually like really was like passionate about. Oh my goodness, I reckon I could be like absolutely amazing at selling that, because I'm already quite good at selling. And imagine if I was saying something that I actually loved. So I'll be completely honest, like at that time, the business education space, the online education space, but definitely the kind of like women starting businesses thing was not at all as advanced. I mean, we're still kind of in our infancy with it, I would say, even now. But then it was like, I just remember Googling like, help, I'm 30 and I want to change careers and I just don't know what to do. I just, honestly, it could have been, at that point, it could have been anything. It could have been, there were loads of people starting cake businesses, like that cupcake craze. I don't know if you remember that. I remember being like, I don't mind baking, but like, really, is that I just really was like, I just want to do something for myself. I want to do something where I'm selling something I like, but I really, beyond that, I really was like, it could be anything. So I was just Googling, and actually like the universe kind of like threw me a bone. And I had just got married, that year, and for the first time in my life had some photos that I actually loved. Like, I am the person that does not like having her photo taken, does not like any of like the previous photos from school or graduation or any of that stuff. So when I got married, I wasn't that excited about having a wedding photographer, but I was like, I realised this is important. This
needs doing.
But he totally blew me away. I was like bowled over by how much I love my wedding photos. And I'm not even really like a wedding person, as in like my wedding day was not like the thing that I'd been dreaming about since the day, you know what I mean? I wasn't like one of those people, but I was just like, it's going to be really fun. I just want it to be a really good party, and I want there to be some nice photos, and hopefully I won't look absolutely dreadful in all of them. This is relevant. Basically, no. I loved my wedding photos. I actually just loved them. I was like, oh my goodness, I actually look all right. Like, this is quite nice. It was such a gift, honestly. It was such a gift to have photos from such a big day that I loved. And as luck would have it, my wedding photographer, who had just been the nicest guy, like from start to finish, was involved in training people who wanted to become photographers, whether that was like wedding photographers or people photographers. He was involved in a training school for photographers, basically people who, I think it was even advertised as like a year-long program to take you from zero to hero, in terms of like, you don't need any prior like photography skill or expertise. I have always loved taking photos and was always the person like on nights out in our teens, like putting a massive camera in a handbag, like, those really bulky things that we used to have in the 90s. but I'd never used an SLR camera or a proper camera. I didn't have any of the like tech know-how, but I knew I loved taking photos, and I knew I wanted out of banking, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is it. All I have to do is spend this money and sign up with this photography school, and I already know this guy's amazing and I love his photos, and they're going to teach me absolutely everything I need about setting up a business as well as being a great photographer. So that's what I did. But like I say, at that point it kind of could have been anything. I just wanted out, and I wanted to earn my own money and do it in a way that worked for me. I really liked the idea of being a photographer because I was like, oh, I'll be able to choose, like, if I want to do weddings, I'll be able to choose like which days I do them, and I won't have to work, like I can be at home all the days that I'm not, doing weddings. So it really suited me then to just plunge myself into something completely new. It was really structured. I didn't have to do any thinking. I just had to turn up. It was like 2 days a month, go and like sit in this classroom, learn the sort of tech stuff, and then we'd be given all these cool like practical bits of homework, like go and shoot like 10 couples, or come and second shoot at these weddings, and like learn how to do all this kind of stuff. And it was just absolutely amazing. And by the end of the year, they'd helped us set up our website, get a limited company, start getting bookings. We had so much experience. It was amazing.
So it's like it was quite a little small business set up then, as well as the photography, like everything that you learned.
Totally.
From that way around as well.
It helped. Yeah, it literally helped. Like, this is where you need to go if you want to get a logo, and this is how you set up a website, and you can do Squarespace, and we'll help you, and we'll help you choose the photos that you put on your website, and we'll help you with the copy. Do you know what? Funnily enough, the only thing they really didn't help with was selling and marketing. I was absolutely fine, because I already that was the bit I didn't know how to do. I didn't know how to do any of the other stuff. So like everybody else on the course pretty much was avid photographers with all the lenses and all the gear and all the props and whistles. But the thing that they maybe weren't as naturally into was the
the selling.
The selling, but also like not in some of the cases it seemed like they almost just didn't really love the people element. So I was like, it's almost like they love being, some of them love being like wildlife photographers or natural photographers, and so they were like, I'm really good at taking photos, let me turn this into a business. But I really love people, and I really love talking. So that was the bit that I could and actually, like, no joke, like when you're a people photographer, that's really important, to be able to put people at ease and provide direction and help them feel relaxed while taking their picture is, I would argue, like almost as important, if not more important, than your tech photo taking ability.
No, and it's interesting how they all, like, the peopleness of selling and of sales, right, and being that people person. Like, it's interesting how that's all intertwined, and also that you notice that was lacking in the other businesses that were getting set up. Because I know that now you do, when you do the photography, because it's like the small part of what you're doing, because you're doing all the selling, but when you do it, it is for headshots, it is for people and their businesses. So now did that come out of that, or was that
so what happened was, I'll try and keep it abridged, but basically I was a wedding photographer for 3 years straight. Pure weddings. I was just so into weddings. I was like, I absolutely love weddings. It's so fun. Like, coming out of an environment where I was working in an air-conditioned, like, trading floor, sometimes not even seeing daylight for like 12 hours a day, to going into a place where, like, what's more fun than a wedding? Like, party.
Well, and also yours had been you'd had such an amazing feeling when you got yours.
I was like, this is honestly like the best setup ever. It's so fun going into people's weddings and like helping them feel at ease, and meeting Auntie Marjorie in the morning, like everyone's all nervous, and then after the ceremony it's all great, party time, brilliant. I absolutely loved it. And because I'd already filled my book, like by the end of my year's training and my mat leave, it sort of paired up perfectly. I didn't have to go back to work. I'd already filled up my book with weddings. So I was just naturally in that zone of like, I just need like whatever it was, 20, 25 weddings a year. I'm perfectly happy with that. And I just went all guns blazing with getting my bookings and, you know, fulfilling them and doing the best I could. So I really didn't think beyond like, I'm doing weddings now, that's what's happening. But over time, two things were happening. One, some of the other wedding photographers that I'd met was starting to sort of ask me how I was getting bookings, or how I was getting this amount of bookings, or, you know, they were so amazing, like in the wedding setup, you know, once they were there on the day, but the thing they were really struggling was actually getting the bookings. So I'd already naturally started, you know, I could just talk all day about, you know, sales and marketing anyway. So that had started happening. But then the other thing that was happening was when I wasn't shooting weddings, I was just at home editing, which I don't love. I'm happy to hold my hands up. I just don't love sitting at home on my own. So I had started going to networking events to just meet other business owners, because I was like, I need some business owner pals, because I'm just here on my own. Like, this isn't a vibe. So I was going out to all these networking things to like make friends. And then I started meeting all these other business owners. They were like, oh, do you do headshots? I need a new headshot. Or like, oh, I absolutely hate my headshot. Or I absolutely hate having my photo taken. And I was like, oh my God, I can totally help you with this. I'm super into like getting headshots that you actually love. And again, at the time, it wasn't such a thing having headshots that were a bit more personality filled. Like, they were still quite corporate back in like 2015, this was like still quite a stuffy corporate area of the market. And I was like, how boring. We need like bright walls, and like, I live in London and I love like, you know, bright colours, colour pop. So this became a bit of a thing anyway in the small business community, where we were like, let's actually make it much more fun, actually have it reflect the personality. So I'd naturally sort of segued into working with business owners. And then on the shoots themselves, because now I'm talking, instead of to brides and grooms, I'm talking to business owners, we're naturally chatting about their businesses and how they're getting bookings and how it's all going. And the thing that just kept happening over and over again with people just like, oh, it's just such hard work, isn't it, getting actual clients? And I was like, no, that's the easy bit, guys. Come on. So then we would just naturally be like geeking out over that stuff. So then that just had really become a thing where I was like, I just really love doing this. So then I was doing 50-50 headshots and sort of consulting for people who needed help with sales and marketing. And then the pandemic happened, and that was my sort of full permission slip, because what was happening in 2019 and 2020 before the pandemic happened was I was getting more and more like requests for help with sales, but I hadn't really given myself the opportunity to really build out packages and understand like how that was going to work, because I was so busy with shoots that I was just, and they were just coming, like I was just not having to do that much like they were just coming by this point. People were just getting in touch like, oh, I've heard you do headshots, can you do this? Oh, I've heard you can you come and do our team? So I was just like, yep, and I just hadn't had time. And then the pandemic came along and I was like, wow, all my photography shoots are paused. This is it. This is the moment to go all in on the thing that I've been really wanting to sort of go all in on for a while, which is helping people with their sales and marketing. Go back to the start. This is what you know how to do. And actually it feels so much more helpful to people right now. So that's what happened.
Wow. But I love that. I love that thread. We were speaking last episode with Danny. It was about like the splashing about, we were calling it. Like, it's that experimentation, just doing some things and seeing where it leads. And I think just doing that photography, something that was just away from your desk with people, and just finding that, and the sales skill just sort of coming in, and the answer coming to you through doing stuff.
Totally.
As vague as that sounds.
No, I really thought like, I'm going to be all right as a small business owner because I know how to sell, I know how to get clients, and that's going to really help me in my own business. What I never thought about at the beginning was, oh, actually, no, I can help other businesses with this rather than just using it to help me in my own, like filling my own books. So yeah, it did naturally evolve.
Do you think it was, like you mentioned in the photography course, you were a bit surprised maybe that you don't realise something, if you're really good at something or have the skills of it and you've been surrounded by it, you forget that that's not what everybody else has?
100%. And also I felt like a real imposter for the first 6 months of that thing, because I was like, I've just had a baby, I don't even know which way is up right now, I'm just turning up to learn how to use this camera, because this is the bit that I just really don't. I felt like everybody else knew how to, well, this is true, everybody else knew how to use their camera like inside out, upside down, and I was just like, how do I get this thing to focus? Literally, like, I need to learn the basics. So that was really all consuming, because I obviously was like, I'm not going to do this until I know how to do it. Like, that's what I'm here for. I need to learn how to use this thing. It was massively like not on my radar what everybody else didn't know about how to actually get sales, like get bookings. But it was just that it became more and more apparent as we just never got a module on that. Like, we got the modules on, you know, how to find an accountant and how to get a website. But I was like, yeah, but guys, we haven't talked about where we're getting our clients from. Should we talk about that?
And how have the packages developed since pandemic?
Yep. So in the pandemic, it was obviously, as it was for so many people, it was a case of like
flying by the pants.
Right. I've literally gone from having fully booked shoots for the next however many months to, well, what do I do now? I literally can't do photography. So I spent quite a lot of time doing workshops online at that point, just to kind of help all the kind of small business communities that I was in, and also just to have a minute to think about what I was doing. And then I just really started with, I mean, I'm really struggling to remember what I think it started with, I was doing power hours, which I'd already been doing anyway beforehand. So I kept those, and then I moved into doing more workshops, like I say. And then I realised, like, there needs to be a longer term situ here. Like, I need to be able to work with people for at least 3 months, which I think is what we were doing together. Because it's such a big thing. You can't just learn it in a workshop, and you can't just learn it in a power hour. So it's better if we can. And because I am like, I much prefer working with people in a kind of ongoing relationship type basis. I like to get fully into the business. I like to understand exactly what the kind of goal is. And I'm that geek that kind of is in the shower in the morning like, oh, I know what could be really good for Penny. Like, let me just quickly send her a voice note. So what I was finding, much like, and actually there are parallels here, because when I was doing wedding photography, I would literally give my everything to that wedding day. I was like best mates with everyone by the end of the day. It's like, see you later, Uncle Barry. Like, this is and then I would spend all this time editing these photos, like painstakingly, like, oh my god, they're gonna love this one, and oh, this one's so great. Then I would send them off, and I'd be like, and they'd be like, oh, we love them, they're so fantastic. And I'd almost be like, yeah, but which one? Did you really love the one we were at the altar? Wasn't it so great how we captured all this? And it would just be like that end of relationship. I would just be like, oh my god, like, just walk away, Sarah. Like, so what I noticed with the business, like sales stuff, was the similar things. It's like, it's just better all round if we have longer to work together, because if we just have a power hour, we cannot get where you're trying to go, and we cannot get where I'm trying to go. I want to see the bit where you actually get the bookings in. I want to hear from you when you're like, they booked me, they booked my highest package, I'm sold out. That's the bit I'm here for.
Well, it's the genuine excited bit, innit?
So excited.
Are you excited? I'm excited.
Yes, it is genuine. I mean, of course, like, it is lovely to have an hour with someone and, you know, hopefully be able to make a difference. But it is much more realistic that we come back together, you know, every couple of weeks for 3 months or longer, so that we can actually, like, get this whole thing down. So, yeah, this started in 2020 in earnest, and now I typically will work with people for about 6 months, sometimes 12, or on and off. It just depends.
Because on your socials now, it's full on the making sales simple and without the ick. Is that sort of how you would describe it?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like, even now, sales is still one of those like nasty little niggles that so many people are like genuinely afraid of, or there's this genuine, like, and it is genuine, this stereotype about what it means to be a salesperson. And I do feel like, I obviously have direct experience of working in a corporate setting, but I do feel like selling in the small business arena is so a completely different thing from the sort of transactional selling stereotype stuff that you see like on TV, or like Wolf of Wall Street kind of weird sort of dealings that go on. And that's not what we're doing here. Like, in the small business arena, it's like, you're one person, you've got a business. If you aren't comfortable talking about why you put this product together, or what it can do, or what the service is actually for, you're not going to be able, like, it's really difficult for your clients to actually understand what it is that they're going to be getting. So it's not optional. It's not like in a corporate setting, you've got a sales team, you've got a marketing team, you've got all these people creating all this stuff so that you know, no one person has to do it all. But in the small business arena, it's like, it is about, of course, it's about helping people make a decision, but it's not about persuasion or cajoling or anything sleazy or icky. Completely the opposite. That's such a turn off. So
you helped completely change my mindset on it, because I'd come from environments where a lot of it's done for you, or I'd got to a point where network was really strong, so I wasn't having to do a lot of it. And when I'd moved back to the UK, and it was starting from scratch, and also build what you build up as well, so how you sell it, what you're selling, and I love it now.
Of course you do. Exactly, like talking about your thing that you love to do.
Well, and I think as well, like with our work together, it was also the flip of, like, if you're not letting people know how you can help them,
they're not going to know.
They're not going to know. And watching how you do it as well. I'm a big believer in, you know, walking the walk and talking the talk, and just watching you do it and how you do it is just the best example to see how you can do it for others.
That's music to my ears, is that?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic, and it is without the. I think you were doing a lot of like the dancing and the pointing on the Instagram, and normally it would get right on my wig, and it was just the way you were doing it. It was like, it's the only person who could get away with it.
I do less of that now, I must say. Even I have like...
No, but it was... Yeah, but it's also watching how you've evolved and how you're doing it, and it's...
Fun.
No, it's fun, and it's public, and you get to see them because you're doing it and putting your face out there. You're not going, oh my God, it's Sarah again. It's like, it's fantastic. You love to see it. You get excited. There's something that helps you. Yeah, and it's like you want to join in being able to do that for other people.
For your clients, yeah, exactly. I feel like... Yeah, I do feel like there is still this idea that selling should somehow be hard or somehow be like formal, or there's some kind of rule about what you should do or what you have to do. But all of that stuff is just absolute nonsense. And actually what's so amazing about having your own business now is you can do it exactly the way that's right for your personality. And in fact, like showing up online, well, however it is that you're promoting your wares, like you're literally getting paid to be yourself. So please, like, be yourself. Like, don't try and feel like anybody else. Don't try and load in someone else's icky, sleazy rules. If you're not an icky, sleazy person, which you're obviously not, let's do it in a way that is absolutely Penny or like absolutely Sarah, and that's it. Like, that's how people get to know what they're getting.
I love it. And people, there isn't enough of it out there.
It really isn't.
Like you say, it's a bit still in its infancy, and there's a lot templatey and repeated. And it's very much what I like with your approach, and I know that you talk about niche as well, which is what I want to go on to next, is about claiming you and doing it your own way. You know, you've left to set something up for yourself and do it your own way. And if you look at everything that you love the most, it's always the people being the most them. Yes. And being a bit different.
Well, just being themselves, knowing who they are and staying true to who they are, because that is so, well, whether you want to call it infectious or magnetic or whatever, like that's the thing.
All of it.
All of that stuff. Feel a bit weird saying infectious these days in a post-pandemic world, but you know what I mean. Like a nice infectious laugh or personality trait or whatever, you have to show it in order for people to connect to it if they're, you know, if that's their jam. But also, like, if you think about it, just sort of one last point about, you know, why is it still so scripted or whatever? Yeah, I think it is totally, I totally understand it, and it is fair enough, because if you think about, well, all my clients are women. I'm not saying this is something that men just know how to do, but I know for sure that women were not taught. Women of the 80s and 90s, I'm 42, in the 90s, we were not taught how to actually, well, be ourselves. To be honest, we were not really taught to be ourselves. Well, I wasn't, not in my school. It was all very much, yeah, there was like a feminist movement going on about like, you can do like all the jobs the men are doing, like get out there and take
Spice Girls.
Oh yeah, the Spice Girls. But it wasn't like be yourself, it was all just about fitting in and doing it, don't be too big for your boots and don't be too much, don't be loud and don't be too it's just, obviously it's not about being loud and bossy, but it is about like knowing who you are and trusting yourself to be able to communicate what you do. But we just we were never taught it. It's just so new for women having their own businesses, women having their own money, women making money online, brand new.
Well, and also the unconscious bias that we have about money, and that you're greedy, or I don't know, that, and exactly that it's old. I've got into quite a few money blocks of late anyway, because I knew it was a thing, like the money blocks and the selling. So I've done my usual thing of going all in, giving myself a personal MA in the subject.
Marvellous.
But that very much started with you. And it was fantastic. And I think if it is something we're struggling with, there's nothing wrong with asking for help and working with somebody on it as well.
Oh, this is an absolute key thing, isn't it? Like, I'm not out here going, I'm just doing it all by myself. So you guys, I never met a single woman on earth who's not trying to do too much on her own. Like, we're all, and that's obviously like for a million different reasons. We get it. Like, we were conditioned this way. This is still not a system that is set up to support us, yada, yada. I'll try not to go too far into my feminist rant here. However, we all need support. We are not experts. If you're trying to do something you've never done before, it'd be like me, like just picking up a camera and being like, oh yeah, I'm a photographer now. I mean, technically I could do that. There's no qualification you need to be a photographer, but no, I went and I did the year-long thing because I want to know what I'm doing. Of course, I'm not going to just try and do that all by myself. And much the same, there might not be a barrier to entry so much now in terms of setting up your own business, but if you don't know how to sell and market and promote your services, or you've never done it before, you've never put packages together, or you're just not sure what to charge, you've got to get some support with that, so that it doesn't take you 100 years to turn a profit. Like, let's get you there quicker so you can actually make more money, so you can get more support, so you can make it more easy, and the whole thing can just be sort of not a whole burnout kind of vibe.
Well, that was a little mini masterclass just there. So if we just bring it to niche. So when you're talking to clients about going niche and finding their niche, what does that look like for you? How do you describe it, or describe the benefits of it?
So for me, it's because so many women come to me and they have a certain set of skills or expertise that they're then trying to turn into services that people are going to buy. And obviously I've always got my sales goggles on because, hello. So we are always trying to create messaging and packaging and services that are going to sell as easily as possible, with as little effort for my client as possible. And so much a part of that is being able to talk to the people that it is that you're actually trying to work with. So having a niche isn't necessarily about like, this is the only like little segment that I work within, but it's actually just it's the thing that gives you the tools to actually show up and get paid as yourself. So that might be like, and your niche might be a certain result that you're good at getting for people, or your niche might be a certain demographic of people that you work with, or people at a certain stage. It isn't something that's constricting, as so many people think it is in the beginning, or like, oh no, I can't niche down because I'm not getting clients, I'm not getting clients, so I can't like focus on a smaller section of the market when I'm not even getting clients for any of it. That's what so many people will say, but actually like having that, it helps with clarity for you, clarity for your clients. If we do not have a clearly defined niche, we cannot be clear and specific enough about what it is that we are going to achieve for our clients. So for me, it's about clarity and making things easier.
Oh, I love that. And that's music to my ears as well. No, I love to see it when you're pushing for it as well, because it is that resistance. It is that fear of like, I've said the story before, like when I said, I'm going niche. I can't remember if I've put explicit or not on this. That people were like, oh, aren't you worried you're going to lose like 50% of your audience of. I was like, well, I hope it's 90% because it's not even all women. It's like kick-ass women in business, so let's make that 10%. And yeah, because I don't need 100% of everyone.
No, you can't. I mean,
and I need just the people who I want to work with.
And people that are going to be like, you know, your absolute dream and feel like mates and like genuinely going to appreciate absolutely everything about you for being who you are and what you know. You need your niche in order to actually find those people, or they need it so that they can find you.
And when you're seeing the results for them as well.
Yeah. Totally.
Because I'm very people person also, and like when you say I get emotionally invested when I'm working with clients as well. So when there's that gel, it just makes that all the more enjoyable. And also then they tell other people who tell other people, because then that's, if you start with that niche, then also that word of mouth.
Oh, totally, 100%. Like in the beginning, especially. I mean, although not just in the beginning, but it really can help to have a clearly defined niche in the beginning, because then you can really make a name for yourself in that niche. And like you say, get the referrals, get people coming back, you know, again and again. And then if you want to widen the niche later, fine. Once you've established, you know, actually, I could also branch out over here or something, you know, I want to change my niche. I think people are really scared of having a niche because they think it's so final and like, oh, I've got to be in this niche forever. But it's not that at all. It just makes it easier for your first 10 clients to find you. And then you can see after that what you want to do from there.
Well, the next question is to like what's next for you in not your niche, but also what you're doing right now. So like you said, in the lockdown you were writing the packages and you were doing some power hours, and then now you have a mastermind, you're doing, you know, there's the writing that you're doing, so there's like within it you can be doing so many different things. Because what's the big exciting thing that you're working on right now?
I'm writing a book.
You are?
I'm so excited.
Oh, I saw that. Yes, I messaged you about that. That's fantastic.
I'm halfway through. And yeah, I need to get the other half done in the next couple of weeks, as it happens.
And remind me again how that came about.
Yeah, so I entered a book proposal challenge with Practical Inspiration Publishing, which is a really amazing. If anybody's thinking about writing a business book, definitely check out Alison Jones at Practical Inspiration Publishing. But basically, it's a 10-day proposal writing process, which helps if you think you've got a business book that you might want to one day write, but you haven't really done any of the thinking. Like this was me. I was like, yeah, I mean, to be honest, there are no sales books that I completely identify with. I've bought all the books. I know I'm like you. I like to go in on my topic, but there at this point anyway, there were loads that were written by like Americans, like selling stuff online, the gurus, and the like, you know, this is bro marketing. This is not necessarily like anything that I really resonate with. So I was having to do quite a lot of hard work to like understand the online, you know, selling principles, but without any of the stuff that I just wasn't interested in. So basically I was like, there aren't really any books written for people like me or people, you know, that I can, you know, feel connected to. So I did this proposal challenge, which is a 10-day process where they help you kind of work out what you would call the book and what you'd put in the book and how it would all work. And then by the end, it's really good because by the end, you really feel like you've achieved something. You're like, look at this business, quite good actually. I'm quite
this could be a book.
This could actually be a book, and they get you. It's ready. So by the time the 10 days is up, you've got your finished proposal, and every day you get set a task, and then Alison marks it and gives you feedback, and you know helps you make it better. So by the end, you've got your finished proposal, which you can then send off to publishers if you would like to, you know, consider being published for a book. But she also picks her favourite one from each round and gives you a book deal. So I somehow got picked. I won. So I've never won anything in my life before, but I won this. So this is amazing. So now I'm writing it, and it will be out early next year, which is really fun.
Oh, fantastic. Do you know what it's going to be called?
It's going to be called More Sales, Please. And it's all about helping, you know, business owners, predominantly women in business, but not exclusively. That's just because those are my clients, but help them to really trust their ability to market and sell their business and actually like make money in their business, get consistent sales and stop winging it, because there's so many people that are just winging it with their sales strategy, and this is just something that everybody can do, everybody can know how to do. And I'm very here, like you said at the top, for helping more women make more money. in their own way. So this is my little contribution to that.
Well, I think, I'd like to see it be huge.
Well, you know, like that's the thing, isn't it? When you do something you love so much, you're just like, if I could just help some, you know, it doesn't matter.
But you can feel it coming out of you, Sarah. It's just, I just love it. It was the same thing when we were working together. It's just, it is infectious. We'll say it. We can still say that.
All right, good.
And it is that support we need, because there is a lot of us doing it on our own.
Yeah.
And it was, I think it was, you were one of the first, but where I was like, suddenly like, a lot of people were asking me for help, and I was thinking, yeah, totally normal, and would do things, but it's like, I might need some.
We all need help, right? I mean, I don't want to do it on my own. I'm not interested. I just not for me.
Same. And it was just a good sort of mindset shift to start doing it. And if you are doing it, but it's also super fun, and it feels like doing it with your friends as well.
You're part of something, exactly. A team, like I love being part of a team. That's the thing I miss the most about my old job. I don't miss 90% of it, but I do miss being part of a team. It's
being part of a team, making something and achieving something,
and getting the results and getting there your way. Brilliant.
Oh, well, that's just been fantastic, Sarah. My headphones are slipping off. Well, I think we'll round it up there. I think there's just loads to unpick there and go through. You're always inspiring.
Oh, thanks.
So,
I loved working with you. It was so fun. It was one of my favourite experiences. So thank you as well. I loved it, and thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're very welcome. And let's say bye-bye for now.
See you soon. Bye.